Okay, so I just wanted to briefly um, explain the compare and contrast. It's not, exceptionally difficult, but you should be actually comparing and contrasting your passage that's been explicated with three other passages. So you should actually be cutting and pasting the passages that you're analyzing into the response so that we can see them, and then you should be specifically talking about the passages and comparing them, and making analytical statements about what's happening, what are the differences. um, so just make sure that you take your time. There's several days to do this because the expectation is that the analysis will be critical, and we won't see things like, oh, this passage has a lot of adjectives, and so does this passage. Um, the goal of this is to see how the actual syntax functions, and what effect it creates and how it creates it. So if you say that the writing, is doing something, you need to be specific about how the syntax creates that effect. If science writing, feels a particular way, why does it feel that way? If fiction writing, creates some kind of mood, what specifically creates the mood with the syntax? So moving forward, when you're comparing and contrasting, when you're analyzing your passages, try to dig into the analysis a little bit more and explain exactly what's happening and how these effects are created with language. It's not enough to just say, this is present. Um, there's an analytical step that needs to take place in these activities. So again, just remember to compare and contrast very directly, and then try to make statements that actually identify what's happening with the language and how that effect is created. Again, if you're going to say something like science writing is very objective, how is that objectivity created? Again, it's not enough to just say because it has noun phrases. What exactly creates the effect of objectivity with a noun phrase? That doesn't really tell us exactly what's happening. How does science writing use a particular syntax or a style that allows it to construct neutrality or the illusion of objectivity? Something like that. Again, same thing with fiction. If you're seeing something happening in fiction writing or any kind of writing, think about what the effect is and then how the language is creating that effect. Okay, so this week you'll work on comparing and contrasting, and then by Friday you'll start working on a draft for your final paper. And I'll put a short little video in the draft section that can set that up. But the draft doesn't need to be a full draft of the paper. You could just have a couple pages. Just get something up that we can start to workshop.